obviously we have to get into Paradise.
Oh man.
So, like I said at the beginning, welcome back to the other side of it. When you were on here last time, you were thinking about it. You were like not sure if you were going to totally make the decision to go on the show. So, like, what were your like hangups on potentially going back on the show? And ultimately, what just made you decide to go on to Paradise?
As we know, like my last experience like on The Bachelor was a bit hectic, um, and very traumatizing. Like the backlash that I got, So I was like very hesitant on putting myself back into that world again.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, you know what? The reason that I went on the show in the first place is because my life is so crazy. And like for me to like set aside time to date, I would
Mm-hmm.
have to give up one of the million things that I do. And the only time that I would do that is like if our phones are taken away, we're in quarantine, like that kind of thing. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that sounds so stupid. Is dating doable in my life? Absolutely. But I just wouldn't push myself to do it unless it was like a situation like The Bachelor or Paradise where like you have to remove your phones, focus on this relationship. All you can focus on is being here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge like step for me because I would never do that in my real life.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to go because I'm like, you know what, I'm at a point in my life where I love being alone. I don't mind it at all, but it would be lovely to be with another person. I've been single for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like my life that I built was so good. Now I want to share it with someone.
Yeah, I love that. It's like having a partner to share in all of the things that you've built on your own that you guys can like build each other up and support one another. I love that idea. So with your intentions of going to Paradise, did you try and think about like, okay, this is how I was perceived on Peter's season, this is how I may have like done things right or done things wrong, and did you take that into account for how you kind of went into Paradise, or were you just going in like another great experience, here we go, we'll see what happens? Like, what was your mindset going into it?
You know what? Even though I really hated that COVID happened, because we were supposed to go to paradise like when everything
Yeah.
hit, I'm very happy that it did because it gave me time to really process everything and like make adjustments to me, my personality, like the way I deal with things. So I went into it like thinking, oh, okay, I'm not going to be involved in any drama, but I knew deep down, like, I don't want to ever lose sight of like who I am because as it's perceived on TV, it's extremely over dramatic. But where I see looking back is like that person stands up for her friends, is very loyal, stands up for herself, doesn't back down on the things that she believes in. And that is what I want to portray more rather than the drama part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just always going to come with the territory, though, of being a strong personality is like, you are going to get into some arguments because you're not going to agree with everyone. And I won't stand down and just nod my head to things that I don't agree with, you
Yeah.
know? So I didn't want to stand back and be timid and be scared because of what happened last time on Bachelor. But I also wanted to make adjustments of how I wanted to take those situations and handle it in a more mature way, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Because
Yeah.
I want to still perceive the message that I am a strong person. I stand up for my friends. I don't back down. But the way you go about it makes such a difference. And I think this time it was just way better than The Bachelor.
Good. Yeah, I saw that side of you for sure, like especially with the little tiff that you had with Victoria P. And
Yeah,
it was you and what is her name? The other blonde girl. Sorry, I'm blank.
healthy.
Kelsey. You and Kelsey kind of stood up to her and called her out. And I really appreciated that. And I feel like the theme of this paradise was everyone kind of calling each other on their bullshit, which
Right.
I really liked. And I do agree. It wasn't like from a place of drama. It was like, I see you, you're doing things not how I would or how people would like you to do them. And these are the issues. I need you to speak on them, which I really appreciated. Did you feel like that was received well? One, for it seemed like it was for relationships with like the other girls or like just as friends. But when it came to relationships, I think that's where it kind of got a little wonky for you. Like, how do you feel? Like, how did you feel about that dynamic in the house?
I don't know. I feel like Paradise is meant, obviously, it's a dating show, so we're here to date people and find our person. But like at the same time, we live with everyone there. And like, I want to be a friend before I am a girlfriend, to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that me standing up to like Victoria P, even like some things that we didn't get to see with like the whole Natasha issue, it's just that's who I am, that I laid all of myself out on the table and I really wanted to like have the audience see like a 360 version of me. Like I can be a
Hmm.
friend and I can also be a lover, you know, like that kind of thing, and try and create like a balance with that. I mean, I tried my best with the whole romantic part of it. I
Yeah.
mean, both guys were great, you know, I don't have no complaints. It's just like I just didn't end up being their person and they weren't
Yeah.
mine, you know, and that's okay. I tried my best and that was, I wouldn't have known unless I tried.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can only commend yourself for trying. And I think what you set yourself out to do on Paradise, it definitely came across. I definitely want to talk about the relationship. So talk me through it. Like what happened with you and Aaron at the beginning? Like you guys seem to be hitting it off well. Like how was your relationship? How did it build? How did it kind of start? Because they don't show everything kind of, they show like little bits and pieces of everything. So how did you and Aaron initially start before we get into
So
all the
funny
other
enough,
stuff?
I was, you know, looking through Katie's guys, and I'm really good friends with Katie. I'm like, I know they're probably gonna be down there first day because of like the timeline of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm like, oh, Aaron's really cute. Like that's like definitely, I don't really have a type, but that's the guy that I would definitely go for.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know, talking about him on podcasts. I asked Katie about him, but I didn't want to like set anything in stone because I didn't want to like perceive this like fantasized image of
Yeah.
him, and like him not make it to the image that I put him in my mind as to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it came down the first day, like everyone was like, oh, basically Tammy's married now. Like they're so cute together, like one of the most solid relationships. This is like the first day. And I'm like, I don't know, like we'll see. Great. It's just like he wasn't giving me the romantic side that I wanted to find in a partner. Like I have tons of guy friends, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like that's what the level we were at. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because he doesn't have like much game or whatever, and maybe we just weren't like vibing. We're very two different people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. There was nothing wrong with him. He was great. It's just like he just didn't give me everything that I was looking for in a partner.
Yeah. Did you verbalize that to him at all? Because I know that's hard too, because it's like the first few days, everyone wants to be like cool and like play it kind of casual and not try to latch on too quickly. But if you like someone, you kind of have to do it
Yeah.
quickly. Did you like verbalize like, oh, I'm needing this or I'm looking for this out of the situation? Or were you guys just kind of
Maybe
casual the whole
maybe that
time?
is my problem, is that I wasn't verbalizing what I wanted. I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
him to give it to me because I'm like, this is so new. Like I don't want to be like, hey, I need this, 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 and this for you
Mm-hmm.
to be a person, you know, because I wanted to just be him. And if
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be him, I didn't want to force him into a mold that I wanted as a partner, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't shown, but I had a conversation with him up at the tree house. I like set up like strawberries, everything very cute. And he was like still like talking to Serena and Victoria, like just like dating around, which we all should, you know,
Yeah.
as I was. But I like really vocalized like, hey, like I think this is a really good start right now, and I just want to know where you're at. And he did not give me the affirmation that I needed,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's because he had the power that week.
Uh-huh.
But it's great that things change. But like I wasn't looking at it as who has power, who doesn't have power that week, you know, because yes, we all need roses to survive the next week. But I'm like, I wanted to find a genuine um, relationship out of this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't make me feel good about it, and then was kind of like playing with my or toying with my emotions almost to see how I would react with the whole Serena C situation. Like I don't really get jealous. I'm like, if you wanted to go with her, like you would anyways. You know, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
force you to pick me just because for the heck of it. But then he used it against me the week after. And he's like, I gave you a rose, like I let you be here. It's like, what? That's not the whole
Yeah.
point of this. You are not my lifeline. You are supposed to help me build a relationship that we thought I thought we had. And it just
Mm-hmm.
clicking. There was just so many things that was just like, this isn't clicking for me. I even got the ick at some point. I'm like, you know what? This is just not it.
Yeah. The
Um,
ick is not a good sign.
the ick was that's when I knew. I'm like, this is not the dude. And I like vocalized that to him when we
Uh-huh.
were at the pool party. Um, and he just was like, I didn't think this conversation would go the way it is going right now. I'm like, Aaron, you're the one who told me like we should see other people too. So I'm gonna do
Mm-hmm.
that. You should too. But I think this is a good relationship right now between you and I. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was so like, I mean, I knew he was gonna get upset, but I was shocked how upset he got when I made the switch to Thomas. You know,
Yes. Okay. So in like your mind, you're like, I gave you the signs. We had the conversations. I wasn't really fully feeling it. Maybe I didn't like spell out every single word of how my feelings were, but I thought you got the vibe. And especially because I don't like when people see the rose as like an award from the week before. Like they think like they gave you a gift essentially, which is like, no, that was your choice. Like this is two-way street here. And yeah, I get to be here and now I get to make my decisions this week. So when Thomas came along, like what changed for you? Did you see it as like, oh, this is like a new lifeboat? Or did you see it as like, this is a great relationship that I could potentially have? Like, what was your mindset when you made that switch? Because what we saw on TV was like, you were talking to Aaron for those like first few weeks, and then all of a sudden you were sitting on Thomas's lap and just making out with him while Aaron watched. So like, what was it actually for you living it? What was your mindset?
Oh, how it actually was is that I was talking to every guy on that beach. I even talked to Carl. Like, what? I just
That's good.
wanted to see the way that I was looking at it and the way that I was elaborating it to everyone is like, because everyone was just like so afraid. They're like, this is my lifeline. This is my lifeline with the person that they were seeing. And I'm like, well, if you don't test out the waters with all these other relationships, how do you know where to put them on your pedestal to
Mm-hmm.
measure out who's the better relationship for you? I would
Mm-hmm.
have not known that Carl was a terrible relationship for me unless I talked to him and put him
True.
below Aaron. You know what I mean? That's the way
Yeah.
I look at it in my mind. So I was talking with Noah, I was talking with Ivan, everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
then Thomas came by. I wanted nothing to do with him at first because egotistical men are my worst enemies because I'm an egotistical man too, you know? And um I spent the entire day like helping him because I felt really bad. I really resonated with him with the whole like villain thing because people were talking so badly of him and like, he wasn't here to defend himself the first week, and I can only imagine how that feels. You're being thrown into a lion's den,
Mm-hmm.
like not anyone liking you, everyone's talking crap about you, and like now you're trying to date all these people who have this ill feeling towards you already because of what everyone else said.
Mm-hmm.
So I extended that olive branch and I'm like, who do you want to talk to? I'll help you like talk to them. You know, you want to talk to Mari? I'm like, Mari, you should go talk to like Thomas. Like he seems pretty cool. I don't know. She's like, okay, yeah. And like, I don't know. I'm the best wingman, I think. I even helped him like talk to Deandra. I'm like, Deandra, you want to go grab breakfast? And like Thomas came with me. I'm like, oh, I gotta go like do something over there, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like them talking. But then that night, I was like thinking back. I'm like, you know what? I feel such a vibe with Thomas, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that because I didn't want to, I was like trying to like shove it deep down. But I'm like, I think I shot myself in the foot with this one because I think I just friend zoned myself.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, helping him. I'm setting up with all the girls. I told him like I wasn't interested in him, like all
Yeah.
these things. But what wasn't shown too is the next morning he was upstairs by himself getting breakfast because he felt so defeated after Serena's date with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got into a fight with the guys that night.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine how crappy you'd feel. So I talked to him for like 2 whole hours before everyone woke up because we were up at like 5 in the morning
Oh
and you don't have
wow.
to be up until 7. So I mean, you know how long 2 hours is in that world. Like that's like a lifetime.
That's like 2 days in that world.
It's like 2 days.
Yeah.
So we were just like talking and like giving him how I experienced like a similar thing. And like, I think he really, really appreciated that because it gave him a different mindset of how to go about this after
Mm-hmm.
feeling so defeated. So, I mean, yeah, one thing led to another. And I always go out and get the things that I fight for and want because I mean, why not, you know?
Yeah.
So I went after it. I pulled him to talk just to check in on him. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna feel it out. If he is like giving back what I think that he's giving back, then I will go for the kiss. I
Okay.
actually looked for the kiss first. You know, he
You
was hesitant because he didn't want to like step on Aaron's toes,
okay. Smart. Yeah.
which is fair.
Yeah. So wait, I need to know how that kiss was because it seemed pretty passionate.
You know what? I never mounted a guy before until
Yeah,
like
is that your signature move?
that's like my go-to move now is mounting them because when I made out with Aaron first, I mounted him.
Uh-huh.
He got a boner and I couldn't get up. And then when I mounted Thomas, he also got a boner and he's like, "You can't get up right now." I'm like, I guess this is the way to do it is to
It's
mount.
a very powerful move. Then you like know that you have won them over essentially physically, even if you make that move. That's genius. Oh my gosh. So then when Aaron saw this whole thing go down, were you expecting him to react the way that he did? And how did you feel about kissing him in front of Aaron after you saw the way that he reacted?
I to, I know this sounds terrible. I wasn't even thinking of Aaron when I was with Thomas. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my main goal was try to be really present in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
explore each relationship and be there. I was only thinking about Thomas when I was with Thomas, and then like afterwards, he's like, "Oh, like Aaron's like staring at you." I go, "Oh my god, like this is terrible. I didn't even like think twice about this, which
Mm-hmm.
I should have put his feelings under consideration, you know, but
Yeah.
like I think their beef was invalid, to be
Okay.
honest with
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if you like took sides on that, or if you felt like Thomas, like what they thought about Thomas was valid, or if it was like a little much from the guys.
you. I think it was a little much from the guys. I think because he's an easy person to hate. I'm an easy person to hate too. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like I get
Strong
it.
personalities. Yeah.
Yeah, strong personalities, good at what we do. You
Hmm.
know, semi good looking, I guess.
Very good
But
looking, good at mounting men.
so yeah, I felt terrible afterwards, and I think it was in the promo clip. I was talking with the producer, and good thing I didn't make it to the show because it was very embarrassing. I don't like to cry on TV.
Hmm.
But I was laying in my bed, and my producer was like laying next to me. I'm like, I feel so bad. I was like bawling my eyes out. I didn't want anyone of the girls to like see. So I was just like, I felt so terrible of
Hmm.
what happened, and I couldn't take it back. You
Yeah.
know, 'cause it's already been done. And like then it's rose ceremony day, and we can't see the guys. You know, so I couldn't even like go to like try to apologize
Hmm.
during the day because it was already rose ceremony night. You know, so now he's been sitting on this anger and upsetness for an entire day. I'm like, there's
Yep.
no going back. Like,
Yeah.
and he's the type of personality, he'll hold a grudge until he dies.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. He doesn't forget.
No. And he doesn't forgive.
No, which is, I mean, to each their own.
I don't look at life that way, but you know, teach your own.
Yeah. So then fast forward a little bit to your relationship with Thomas, and then eventually Becca coming in, taking me on the date. And you were very like willing to let her go on a date with him. You were like totally like, what was your mindset about letting him go on a date? And do you regret saying yes to that?
You know, that's such a oh, I really wish they showed this because it really would have helped explain and like get a context of things. Is when Becca came down, she had her own mini cocktail party because she just arrived like at the end of the rose ceremony day before the rose ceremony started. She's pulling everyone. She wants to talk to Thomas. Like, I went up to go get chicken nuggets and I came back down. He goes, "Hey, just so you know, they wanted me to talk to Becca." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, literally, like, plate of chicken nuggets. I'm like, "Oh no." He goes, "But I didn't want to. I told him that I don't want to." I go, "What?" And I never thought that he would ever do that, you know?
Uh-huh.
So he gave me that affirmation. He made me feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
And day after day, like when girls want to talk to him, he goes, "Hey, just so you know, XYZ talked to me. I told her I was not interested. I just didn't want to embarrass her, you know, because I'm just like really into you." So then
Good.
Becker tries to come over to talk to him again later that night. And he goes, "No, I'm sorry, I'm good." And he told me about it again. I'm like, "You denied her a second time? Like, she's a bachelorette, dude. I
Yeah.
would, like, what?" And it just like goes to show you how respectful Thomas is, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that made me feel so good. That's why I had nothing to worry about because when
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what, if paradise is what it's about, if we test the relationship, I'll know for sure. I mean, we've tested it multiple times when girls wanted to talk to him and he said no. This is the ultimate test. Is if Becca asks him on a date, hopefully they have a crappy date and then I'll know for sure. Like I
Yeah.
was ready to like lock it in with this guy if this date went terrible with him, you know, but it didn't. And he really liked her. Um, and who am I to keep someone from their person, you know, and the
Yeah.
connection that they were meant to have in the first place? It sucks. It really does suck because it's like wanting your friend and rooting for your friend to find love too, because Becca's a
Mm-hmm.
friend of mine, but also the situation that we're in, it's like that's the guy that I thought I was gonna lock it in with, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a very tough situation. Um, I thought it was very unfair of me if I didn't let him go on the date. So that's why I'm like, you know what, go for it. Then I'll know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not again, I'm not really a jealous person. So I'm like, this just sucks the
Yeah.
way it turned out. But I don't regret anything. I think it planned out well because I mean, they're clearly in love and together today.
Yeah.
It worked out. I'm very happy for the both of them. I'm actually really good friends with the both of them still.
Mm-hmm.
So it all worked out.
It's very
I'll find
mature.
her eventually.
Yes, you will. I feel like it's going to be soon too. It's very mature of you too, because it's like that is the biggest ego blow, especially because your hope would be, yeah, like he's even if he goes on the date, he's gonna want to be with me or be thinking about me the entire time and come home and like tell me how much he likes me or loves me eventually or falling for me. And that's like your hope, but that's when it doesn't happen like that, then it's just like you question kind of everything. You question all your choices because you have so much time there to think about everything that you're doing there. And it can be a very big blow to the ego. And you did say this one thing that was like quoted everywhere, that I have it written down. I always lose out to girls that look like her, that look like Becca, essentially. And I know this is like a big thing that mostly people on social media like took away from and they could relate to you a lot. And I feel like I understood what you meant by this and I feel like I could relate to it. But what is it that you meant by that
I
quote?
didn't think that was actually gonna make the show, to be quite honest. Because I'm like, not many people relate to this. Our viewers are basically Caucasian, like it's very
Mm-hmm.
rare that you see minorities watch the show. So I'm like, no one can relate to this, but they put it in, and I'm actually really happy that they did. Is that I am not insecure. I'm very sure of myself. But when you have this like childhood trauma
Mm-hmm.
of always wanting to be the white girl in your school, and like I grew up in a very Caucasian area,
Yeah.
so people who look like me, there was like far few in between.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I feel like I worked 10 times as hard to try to even be the same level as someone who looks like Becca. And I just couldn't, I always had to work hard. I would get there, but I would have
Mm-hmm.
to work 10, like 20 times as hard. And it was just really difficult. I'm up for the challenge. I
Mm-hmm.
think it makes what I want more meaningful and worth fighting for, but it's exhausting,
Yeah.
you know? So when I said that, I'm like, um, of course he wants to be with her, because why wouldn't he want to be with her? And everything that else that I've done is always lost to people who look like her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't work extra hard to do that. And like I felt almost defeated because I didn't work extra hard for my relationship with Thomas because I trusted him so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I tried harder, I would have maybe gotten the guy or had a fighting chance, but like I didn't. And that's
Yeah.
where I felt so defeated because I wonder if I said no, I don't want you to go on the date, what would have happened?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, could relate to you so much from this because I remember my own mindset growing up. I also grew up in a similar place, like very Caucasian high school, and I remember always thinking like, I wish I was blonde, or I wish I was born blonde because then I would be cooler, then I would be like everyone else. Like I don't know why. And my mom was blonde, and I thought she was like so beautiful and everything, and like related because I'm only half Asian, so I put that like I thought that blondness equals cool person, popular person, gets everything that they want. And then I always thought I had that same mindset. And I've been working through this a lot lately, actually, is this idea of like, I have to work harder than everyone else to get the things that I want. Like, I always have to work hard. And that is like layered with like grades and parents like putting pressure on you and grandparents putting pressure on you and just like feeling like you have to be almost a perfectionist or the best version of yourself to get the things that you want. And I'm trying to myself unravel that and rework that for myself because I think that maybe that was true back then for when I was little, or maybe it was just something that I perceived and is now becoming my truth or keeps repeating itself nowadays, where I always feel like I have to work harder and I can't get to where I'm supposed to be. I don't know if you feel like that now or like if that's what,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that in my mind, I mean, especially with like my experiences growing up in the workplace and like school and everything, like I had to work extra hard to even be looked at the way people just look at a Caucasian girl.
Mm-hmm.
Even like I remember when I filmed The Bachelor, I was in my hotel and the producer's like, "You'll be fine, like it's great." I'm like, I don't think you guys understand. Like, I don't know if I can compete with these
Yeah.
Caucasian girls. Like I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And, like my biggest fear was making it the first night, you
Mm.
know? And like my personality, I really had to count on to shine through, which really did and helped me. Like I am proudly one of the very few Asians of this franchise, the first full Vietnamese person to ever make it even in top 10. But that's because like my personality, it's like me dissociating myself with I'm just an Asian girl as I'm Asian, I'm Tammy, I do XYZ, but I'm also happen to be Asian too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like that's the way I'm trying to look at people and myself, because I can't measure things of like my childhood traumas of wanting to be blonde hair and blue eyes, you know.
Yeah.
But
Because you're unique and beautiful and very capable. And I think that, yeah, I'm trying to rework that for myself as well, because it only holds me back now when I'm thinking from that place or when those are my beliefs. Because if I'm thinking I'm already starting from a deficit, then I'm going to be essentially starting from a deficit if that's my mindset. But I totally understand, like going to the house, I was like, well, looking around the room, there's only one other girl that looks like me and she went home. So it's just me now. Unless he really likes me, then it's probably not going to be me. Yeah.
no,
So it's
that's
hard.
exactly how I felt I mean, even when before filming Paradise, I'm like, I feel this way again. Like, I think it's just this world. Like, Bachelor is very, very Caucasian based. It's very like they're not used to seeing people who look like you and I. So
Hmm.
it's really difficult because you're like trying to make your community proud, you're trying to make yourself proud, and
Hmm.
like still be authentic and true to you who you are. Just because like I'm not going to be the same person as another Asian girl just because I'm Asian. Like we
Hmm.
have very different personalities. Um, but I think I said that in the moment because I just felt so vulnerable and like so
Yeah.
defeated. I and it was just like stemming from a self-conscious like what is it? Subconscious place.
Hmm.
I don't feel that way now because I look at the way is I work hard, I do things, and then I happen to be Asian too.
Yeah, I love that. How was that received by your audience and people reaching out? Like, was it a positive reaction? And did that help you kind of work through that for yourself? Or like, what was the reaction from just that quote in general?
I think I'll always feel a little bit dissociated with Bachelor Nation itself, but a lot of people reached out to me, a lot of Asian viewers, and um, messaged me and were just sharing like their stories with me. Like, I relate to this, and it like literally made me cry. And I
Hmm.
never cry, this, but it was just like so heartwarming because for once, I didn't feel so alone.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, everyone has dealt with this, and I want to be the person to be like, you know what? Even though we all felt this way, we are all very unique and very worthy of everything that is given to us and the things that we work for.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of message that I want to send to my fans.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's good to feel seen like that too. When you are vulnerable like that and you share your heart and the things that you have experienced, and people hear them, see them, and be like, oh, I feel that way too. And like, especially into the mass numbers. And that's like one really great thing that can come from the show. I know there's like ups and downs with following and Instagram and all the things, but like that at least is one really great thing that can come through. So I'm glad that it was received that way because I myself could relate exactly to what you said. So thank you for saying it.
of course. Thank you.
Um, I want to know, well, this is just a dumb question, but what was worse, being dumped on your birthday or COVID?
Oh my gosh. I think both were equally terrible. COVID,
Yeah.
of course, you could possibly die, so that's really bad.
Yeah.
But I think the emotional hurt is what is I have trouble with, like emotions in general. So I think being emotionally hurt was more detrimental in my mind than COVID was.
Yeah.
Because like COVID, I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna get over it. But like
Hmm.
heartbreak, you start doubting yourself and it takes time, like to get over that because it's a mental thing. It's not something that you can keep drinking medicine and it'll go away.
Yeah.
So I think the heartbreak was
Yeah. And I
probably
feel like the heartbreak might have even lasted longer than COVID did, depending
yeah,
on if you lost your
yeah.
taste or not.
No, it was actually really bad. I left the show and I felt so uneasy. I'm like, I am hung up on a dude, on a guy.
Yeah.
I was so like beyond myself. I called all my friends as soon as I got home. Actually, I didn't want to go home. I remember I was fighting with the producer. I'm like, send me to San Diego. I want to be with my friends. It's my freaking birthday. Like, I'm gonna go to the club. They're like, okay, are you sure you don't want to go home? I'm like, no, I want to go to San Diego. So I flew straight to San Diego
Oh,
from
good.
Mexico, had a boys' night because they're like the best energies, my boyfriends.
Yes.
But um we just all like had a great time and it was like one of the best birthday weekends and then I flew home. So
Oh, that's perfect. You got to like get out of your system.
yeah.
Love that. So I feel like in that world and Bachelor, now that you've made it through the whole season and everything, I learned a lot about myself and about dating. So Tammy, what did you learn through that process? Maybe just through Paradise. Like, what did you learn about yourself? What would you change if you were to do it again? And then what are you going to take that and apply to dating life after the show?
you know I think again my biggest challenges were being present in the moment and dealing with my emotions, and I think I really learned that I am capable of doing those things from my experience in Paradise. Is that I I'm a hard person to date because I'm very not easy to read and then I'm wishy-washy. But I think that if I just let go and let someone in just a little bit,
Hmm.
I could build such a great relationship with someone and that I know that I'm capable of doing it because I haven't been in a relationship since I was 21,
Mm,
or
you're a
20.
different girl now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just letting myself be able to do it was making the biggest difference for me, and that's what I want to apply to like my dating life
Hmm.
afterwards.
It's kind of leading with that vulnerability a little bit more, which is very hard, but very
Very hard.
necessary.
Oh, I hate being vulnerable, but that's what you gotta do when you wanna build a connection with someone, is be vulnerable.
Did you feel like you started doing that with Thomas?
Oh yeah, 100%. We
That
talked
makes
about
sense.
we talked about so many things. We related to so many things that I would like never even tell like my best friends now.
Hmm.
But I think that's why I was so hung up on him because I trusted him so much. I didn't even tell these things to my family, and I'm telling this guy who I just met a couple weeks ago. But
Mm, yeah. I think you'll find it. It's just, I think it's easier when it is right and you can like trust the person. Like you are more willing to open up instantly.
yeah,
But it's scary. Oh
oh, scary, dude. Oh my
my
gosh.
God. So then with the end of paradise, how do you feel about the couples? Do you feel like they're going to last? Like, what is your, like,
Yes, I
yes,
love the couples that came out of it. I'm obsessed with Riley and Marissa.
same.
The first like black couple to ever come out of this franchise, which is mind blowing. It's been going on for what 25 years now, literally
Hmm.
my entire lifetime.
Wow.
And
That's crazy
this
to
is the
think
first
about.
time, like, it's just there's
Yeah.
so many changes that are gonna be happening to this franchise, and I really hope, to be a part of that change because it's just, like, it's slow and steady, but it's so worth it, and it's so big. So,
Yeah.
yeah, really
I will
excited.
say I definitely saw a change in the season from watching it. And I loved that because we got to see people that we didn't really know that well from other seasons and like different love stories happen. And one of the things I really enjoyed was everyone calling each other out, like we mentioned before, on being devious beforehand. So what was that like for you? Because I remember I think it happened a lot in my season where people talked before, like made little arrangements or like a little agreements, not necessarily like pacts or like strategies, but like some people it was a little weird. So how did you feel about that for you? And do you think that it's in the future that people are going to continue to strategize and be like Brendan and Piper? Or do you think that we've learned our lessons? Like, what is your
Mm,
perspective on that?
I feel like people think that they're smarter than they actually are, um, because if I was Brendan and Piper, I would do it I would go about it in such a different way,
Yeah.
but I can see why they went about it the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. Don't have a problem with calling people out. I think that even if I'm your friend, a real friend would call you out on your shit.
Yeah.
You know, like why
Yeah.
would you let your friend do wrong things?
Mm-hmm.
A real friend would look out, so they just save them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think people are still gonna talk. I think COVID really helped because everyone was hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a whole
People really
year.
were. Yeah.
But it's how you go about it, and your true intentions. The way that they used Natasha was so dirty and so disgusting, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what hurt them in the long run.
Yeah. That's true. I think Demi even brought that up. Like, yes, I was dating someone before, kind of, but we weren't actually in a relationship. And I was open with Derek the entire time, where she didn't wasn't or where Brendan was not like that with Natasha.
Being truthful. Yeah. The difference is that Demi, she said it right from the get go, very transparent, very clear of
Hmm.
what the situation is. I think if Brendan did the same thing, it would have worked out differently for him.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
I loved the way
Okay.
the Bachelor Nation rallied for that
Oh
little
my
week or
gosh.
two, the
That was the
followers.
most powerful thing I've ever seen in my
I
life.
know. It was incredible. Like I every TikTok I watched every single one. I was on my Explorer page. I was just like, it was a good TV. It was a good time for me. I really enjoyed that. But yes.
It's all the love that she has ever deserved. So very
Yes.
happy for that. Even though it sucked to be in that situation for sure. I think that sometimes you have to go through the hurt to get to where you're ultimately meant to be. And I feel like she's in a good place.
I love that. Tammy, I'm going to ask you my final questions that I kind of ask everyone. They're very broad, but thanks for being here. Um, what, Tammy, do you want to be remembered by? It could be TV related or just like in general, what do you want to be known for or remembered by?
I want to be known for being a loyal friend and always sticking up for voices that can't be heard sometimes.
Hmm.
And I will happily be the loud voice that helps everyone else be heard.
Everyone needs a Tammy for a friend. I need you in my life. Last question on this. Any last piece of advice? It could be related to what we talked about or any general advice from you.
Um, I think my main advice is always if you work hard, you will always get the things that you want in this world, you know? And the only
Hmm.
person that ever can hold you back is yourself.
Hmm.
So just freaking do it. Just do what you want to do.
I agree. Thank you, Tammy. I have actually one more question. Anything that they didn't show about you on your experience on Paradise that you wish they had, or anything that we didn't see that
I
you
wish
really
they
enjoyed?
honestly, I really wish they showed my relationship a little bit more,
Hmm.
you know, because I think that would have really helped viewers see like how I am as like a lover, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, because I was very vulnerable with Thomas, but it wasn't
Hmm.
shown, you know, and it like makes me afraid again. Like maybe I should never be vulnerable ever again. It's not going to be shown anyways, you know.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that. I think that also would have given context to like the breakdowns that you had after it. Cause it just looks like, why is Tammy crying? Like they weren't even together. But like if you
I
would have
wasn't even
seen,
crying that much, but the way they broke it down, it made me seem like I was crying every day. I think I cried like twice.
yeah, I feel that. You cried less than I did. And that my crying never got shown until I got sent home. So there's no right way, I guess. Well, keep doing everything you're doing, Tammy, because it's working. And I'm excited to watch more. And I hope that you find your person soon.
Thank you. I think it'll be soon,
Yeah.
hopefully. I have a good feeling. I don't know why, but
Just stay open, be vulnerable. It'll work
well,
out. I promise.
thank
All right. Well,
you so much
thank
for
you.
having me.